The Moist Meter is a proud partner of our comic book series Godslap and Plague Seeker. Both are available at badegg.co, link in the description. This is going to come as a huge surprise. I am not the target audience for the new Barbie movie. That being said, I said, to hell with the rules. Damn them. I'm going to see this movie anyway. So let's dive in a bit. The movie has a lot of charm to it. Surprisingly, I thought it'd all be very formulaic, but they actually went very hard with the set design in Barbie Land. Barbie Land really does look like an actual play set come to life. It has a very interesting visual aesthetic to it that I thought was pretty cool. They put a lot of care into how Barbie Land looked, and I think they kind of fucking nailed it. And by far the best performance in this movie comes from Ryan Gosling as Ken. I'm a Ryan Gosling fan. I think most of the roles he chooses, he's very good in. And here he lets his acting chops get a little wacky. Even when I think he's working with pretty weak material, there is absolutely just some throwaway lines in here that's supposed to be low-hanging fruit gags. Ryan Gosling brings a certain amount of pizzazz to and makes it more enjoyable than it has any right to be. Also, speaking of the comedy, this movie is pretty much a full-blown comedy, though it does want to deliver a message, and it spends a lot of time developing and delivering that message. But the focal point is on the comedy, and in our theater, which was fucking filled to the brim, literally overflowing with human beings here, which I did not expect. I didn't know this movie was going to be this big. There was many times that jokes just went to pure fucking silence. Like actual church mouse shit. A joke would be told in the movie, not a single giggle. Not even a pity fart out of uncomfortableness. Nothing. Pure silence, like a sensory deprivation tank. There were some jokes that completely missed. But you expect that in a comedy. Not every joke's going to be a heater, but I was pretty surprised at how many didn't land at all. But then there were some that landed in a big way where the theater lost their fucking mind. So it had some high highs and low lows when it comes to its comedy here. And the common thread was the ones that were landing were ones that had Ryan Gosling kind of at the forefront as either the butt of the joke or the one delivering the joke. I just really think Ken was a surprise superstar here. Everyone knew Margot Robbie was going to be a good Barbie, and she is. I think she does a great job in this role here. I think she absolutely fucking nails it. She captures both that, living the perfect life thing, as well as also starting to open up to what it means to be human. I think she really captures both super well, which is really important since it's a big narrative point in the film about Barbie going from the perfect life, every day being her best day, to now humanity has fucking infiltrated her soul out of nowhere, and it's scaring her and she doesn't understand it. She wants everything to be perfect, but starts to come to terms with, you know what? Maybe things are better when they're not all perfect. I thought this was going to be mainly for young girls and in general a younger audience, but a lot of the jokes were a lot more mature themed than I would expect for a kid focused demographic. There was a lot of actually mature jokes in here. She blatantly just drops the word vagina when talking to some dudes, and then Ken's talking about his wiener. It is PG-13 rated, but I thought that was kind of just for show. But no, I was wrong. They really do have a lot more older themed jokes in here, I guess mainly for the children's parents that got roped into bringing them so they're not bored out of their fucking mind watching the Barbie movie. I suppose that would be the play here. One thing I also really didn't understand about this film is it's very clear that the focal point is on Barbie and Ken, in particular Barbie Land, and also the big difference between Barbie Land and the real world when they do eventually cross over to the real world. That's one of the core narrative points. Barbie's starting to experience emotions which she's never experienced before, so her and Ken come to the real world to get to the bottom of it because they speculate that there must be a little girl out there who's playing with a Barbie right now that's going through a tough time, and it's making Barbie and Barbie Land feel those things, and she wants to fix it. So they go to the real world, and everything's different in the real world. It's a huge fucking shock to both of them, and they both deal with it very differently. And while they're in the real world, this is when Will Ferrell's character comes in, as well as the entire Mattel board. And this, I feel, was such a complete useless thing to even have in here. Will Ferrell does nothing. The entire Mattel board does nothing. If they weren't in this film, nothing would change. They have no impact on the plot. They have no impact on anything. And they don't even really have many scenes to begin with. There's like one like Scooby-Doo chase scene where they're chasing Barbie around the office and it's very cartoonish. But aside from that, like they don't even really do anything, so I don't know why they're here. Like I feel like they just wasted so much money getting Will Ferrell's name attached to this, and it was just a big bait and switch because he's barely in it and he barely does anything. They have no fucking purpose in the film, and you would have been able to shave off a handful of minutes by just not having them here, which would have been good for the runtime because I do think it drags a little bit, so that would have been helpful for the pacing. I don't even know why that entire arc is even here with Mattel and Will Ferrell. Not that I think Will Ferrell does a bad job in it, he's clearly having fun, but it just doesn't add anything. Like the jokes that they deliver are not really good jokes to begin with. It seems like it was just improv from the actors, like they sat them down and just said, hey, just do something that'll make me giggle and we'll put it in the film. And they just do like some random shit. They just don't really do anything, so I don't know why they were there. To me, it just feels like a waste of dollars here, a waste of good clams putting Will Ferrell on this project here, because you know they had to pay out the ass to get him to come into it. I don't think he did it for free. So I just feel like that could have been better spent elsewhere. But anyway, the film is really at its best in Barbie Land. When they go to the real world, it's not that interesting because that's kind of when the Mattel stuff comes through. But then they bring in two humans that kind of form the basis of the emotional draw of the film, the emotional soul of the Barbie movie, and that's when it puts a lot of focus on the message it wants to deliver, and the message is definitely geared towards younger girls. It's meant to inspire them and teach them that, you know, even though society puts a lot of pressure on women, it's good to be yourself, it's okay to feel a certain way about certain things, it's okay to not know exactly what you want to do in life. It delivers a message that I think would resonate more with a younger girl than it does me, a 28-year-old man. So I'm not here to speak on the effectiveness of the message or anything like that, but it is worth mentioning. It's not just a comedy, like nothing else. It does want to deliver a positive message to the young audience that's there to watch it. Now, I've definitely got to mention, the word patriarchy here is used at least 2,000 times in the last second half of this film. That becomes a huge focal point for the plot, is the patriarchy. I don't want to get into spoilers on how it makes its way into Barbie Land and everything like that, but then it becomes like the main evil they fight against is the patriarchy. So things get real wild in the film here, which is definitely not what I was expecting here. But overall, I didn't dislike the film, but it's very clearly a film that isn't meant for me. I am definitely just not the target demographic, as surprising as that is to hear. I know it's fucking shocking. But even still, I didn't hate the film or anything. I don't think it's a bad movie. And I do think Ryan Gosling really fucking shined here. Huge thanks to ourselves for sponsoring this Moist Meter. Godslap is a comic series written by myself, Jackson, Matt, Danny, and Aubrey Sitterson. It follows the story of a character named Ace, who's an extremely powerful slapper in a world where slapping is king. Issue 3 just dropped. It's all available at badegg.co, and shit is starting to pop off. Ace is being hunted by a mysterious foe named Defister, who, after swan diving through a hospital, picks up Ace's trail and hunts him to the ends of the earth with his sidekick Olfactor. And also, our newest comic series, Plague Seeker, just came out. Issue 0 is available at badegg.co. It's written entirely by myself and edited by Jackson. It's set in a world 1,000 years after an apocalyptic event known as the Calamity. An asteroid hits Earth, and it brought with it mutations that changed all of its inhabitants. Now the world is infested with things called plagues, and atop the food chain sits 8 great plagues that control the entire world, and only one man stands against them, the Plague Seeker, who has an insatiable appetite to devour those 8 great plagues. So all of this is available at badegg.co, so please check it out. See ya.